Did Grias and Gyrus Asaradral Pana to pend Marachib in whispers, Talani Shuk Abav Lapal. My name is Damian Le Bas. I'm from the UK. I'm from a Romanechal family, which is like English Roma family. So we're speaking Romani language and stuff. And I work as a writer, journalist and a filmmaker. So it's a multi-dimensional career really, but I've ended up working in film a lot because it's a very powerful means of expression for Roma people these days. And for the first time in most people's history, but maybe especially for us, we can actually get the means of production. We can afford to buy cameras, editing equipment. Well, some of us can, you know, lucky ones. And I think it's an exciting time to really use this medium to say some stuff about who we are. Almost all of the descriptions of us in film, in literature, in art, through our history have been done by non-Roma. This is a bit of a cliche, really, to say this, but I think a lot of people don't know that. And self-representation is really important if we're going to be seen as actual human beings with our own inner life. So that's why I'm still involved in film. I didn't go to film school. I learned how to make films on the job, starting with really simple equipment, simple editing software, the best that I could get, and then moved on, you know, progressing through the work. So that's what kind of interests me, is how we work. Maybe how we work in film is a bit different to other people. There's some cultural issues, but I think that we also bring a lot to media that maybe isn't there before, some different attitudes.
So an air drove my circus in Georgie. I was going up this whole lane with a motor, and in front of them was a great big fire in this lane, and they turned and went back, didn't they? And the fire disappeared. Joe suspected it was the devil coming for him.
Catalin Barsone from Romedia. We co-founded this IRFC, International Romani Film Commission in Berlin, which is, maybe it's not exactly what people think a film commission is, but I'd say it's a very important event for us as Roma filmmakers to meet each other, to look at each other's work. We're from some really different cultures, you know, we're all Roma or Gypsies or whatever you say, but our cultures have grown very different over 1,000 years. So this is like learning experience for us, you know. We're not just teaching or telling the outside world about ourselves, but we're also learning about how diverse our own culture is. So I come from a Roma culture that's really still quite nomadic, with these caravans and horses and stuff, but for a lot of people in Eastern Europe that's like a really outdated stereotype, and some people haven't been nomads for 600 years, you know. So this is all really inspiring stuff for any filmmaker, I think, but especially for us. Places like Hungary, Eastern Europe in general, and sort of Central and Eastern Europe is kind of one of the real homelands of Roma people, I think. Obviously there is the connection to India as well, but a lot of our experience as a culture, as an ethnic minority, was formed in this part of the world. So I feel like we all have a connection to here. And also, just regardless of my ethnic background, I'm interested in what Europe means today, post-Soviet era. You know, this is something that's interesting for me in terms of politics and general culture. The European project, what it means, if it's working and stuff. So, you know, I love to be here, and I'm sorry I have a miserable face. It's just my face, yeah. But I'm happy, I'm smiling inside. he really showed me some techniques with the editing.
A vágás, tehát az utómunkáról nagyon sok technikát megmutatott neki ez a férfi.
And I start to think, yeah, I can make some films.
Úgy gondolt, hogy igen, én is képes vagyok el, én is tudok filmet.
So I made this film with the French Roma guy.
Ezt a filmet egy francia roma férfival
Plays guitar.
aki gitáron játszik.
So I went to France.
Akkor elment Franciaországba.
And I met this guy.
És ott találkozott ezzel a férfival.
So I had some expectations about the camp before I came. I'm used to making films with other young Roma people. Slightly different because we're working in schools, so it's a really like rigid environment for them. It's quite difficult for them a lot of the time. Like we have to really rush. So I think it's nice when you have some more time to reflect and speak to people and see where they're coming from, what's their mindset, what they're hoping to get from this. I find this like is a good way of working, you know, and I'm learning a lot about different ways of working here. So this is interesting for me as a filmmaker and as a Roma person. You know, I have more, maybe some more experience than these girls, but a lot of them are really actually smart filmmakers with an intellectual approach to storytelling and stuff. So there is a lot of talent here, and also I'm learning from them, you know. When I see what these girls are producing, it's really amazing that they're doing this, and actually I feel quite emotional to see what they produce, you know. When I was a kid, I didn't even think that, I was amazed to think that our language could be written down on paper. So to think that like 20 years later, there's like these Roma girls making films about their self-representation and how they feel, you know, it's a big deal, this. From the perspective of that they're women as well as Roma, you know. Women in film is still, it's like really hard to have a role of creative control for a woman in film. If I ask someone who works in film to name some female directors, they will struggle, and that's bad in the 21st century. So any opportunity that I get to put something into this, partly it's my sort of family background politically. My mother's a feminist and an artist and stuff, so this is something that I just believe in, is empowering the directorial voice of women as well. I mean, it's also harder for women actors and such, but it's even worse if you want to be behind the camera. I think, you know, a lot of people, there's a lot of misogyny in industry in general and in the film industry, and people associate women with like the makeup department, really, in my experience, and that's just stupid, you know. So this is both from a Roma perspective and like a progressive, creative perspective. Workshops like this are incredibly important. This is really important stuff.